Next one is the data validation. Okay, so data validation means input correct data to the system. Okay, so topic should be here the data validation. So data validation means input correct data to the computer system. Data validation methods when we consider about the method what we are going to use for data validation. Then first one, we check the data type. Then check whether the correct data type, numeric or text, date, time, accuracy. That means the format, date format is correctly given. The numeric data or text, for example, date of birth, if they ask you if you write it in word, that is wrong. Text, if you input, that's wrong. It should be date. Okay. For the currency, if we write it in instead of rupees, if we write the numeric, that also wrong. If you write in text, also wrong. So data type, we are checking with the correct data format is giving. We check whether errors are inserted or not. So if the errors are given, it is rejected by the system. So if you have date, month, year pattern, so you have to write the date of birth, date, month, year pattern. So if you change it, then it will be identified inaccurate. So the next one is presence checks. The presence checks of data. Example, data entry field is not blank. It is checks. It is compulsory input important data. So it is compulsory to input important data. So for example, when you are filling the forms like the Google Forms, Gmail account, if you are going to make, they are with the asterisk, red color asterisk mark, they are asking you to insert the data without skipping. That means username, password, like. So it should be there. Normally it display in the red color. Okay. So asterisk mark is the one presence checks. So compulsory to input. So range checks whether the data is in the allowed range. For example, the mark should be 0 to 100. So commonly, if you give the negative answers, then system will identify that is a error. So commonly used when working with the data that consists of numbers, currency, date, or times. So we check whether it is in the correct range. Okay, the date cannot be exceed more than the 31 dates. It should be below 31 dates, because for the month cannot be exceed more than 12 months. Okay, so likewise there are limitation, range should be there. Okay, we'll copy this one. Okay, next one, verification. So check whether the input data is correct. So verify whether the input data is correct. So earlier we validate. Okay, validate mean input the correct data to the system. Verify mean check whether the input data is correct. The username, password to verify authorized users. The data verification is a process of checking the entire database for the inconsistency or errors. When data is migrated from the data warehouse for use in the big data processing system, the data needed to be checked to ensure that the accurate. So when we are going to enter or send the data from to the another location, so normally we check, verify the input data is correct. So check whether the input data is correct is we call as a data verification. So normally while we are typing, we check. As well as you have seen, I am doing the spelling checks, grammar checks. So verify. So while typing, whether check whether spelling mistakes are there and doing. Okay. So that is verification. We'll copy this one also. Modes of data input. So we can directly input data or remote. So in direct data input, data is input to the system directly without direct user interference. So without user interference, we can directly input data to the system. Then in remote entry, system is displayed, specially done, system is designed specially to store data data sorting and transactions are take place in the different geographical places. So, for example, when we consider about the weather forecasting, different locations data are inserting. Okay, so remote entry. So all those data sent to the central weather forecasting place. So then all geographical different gather the data from different geographical areas. I'll explain next one also together. Then online and offline. So in online data input and output is input to the same time. That means online data input at the same time. Transaction take place. For example, airline ticket reservation date where data of different transactions input after specific time period as batches in offline method. So when we consider the offline method in data input as batches. Okay, offline where data of different transaction input after specific time period as a batch in offline method. So part by part insert the data. So we call it as batch process also later. Then data processing. Okay, I will write these two and we'll move that one. Okay. Data processing, data input and processing occur as a batch in batch processing. So there are data processing, online real-time processing as well as batch processing. So this is regarding batch processing. Okay, so data input and process occur as batch in batch processing. It is easy to handle a huge amount of data as a batch. So data stored data is stored until the system comes online to process the data in a batch. So normally until process, we will collect the data actually until it comes online to process. Online means the time which process. For example, update all the attendance of a teacher and according to the number of days or teacher or worker, number of days paying the salary at the end of the month. So batch processing is a billings is at the end of the month paying the payments. So store data until the system comes to process. It can be online or offline. At the same, that means a real-time process is going light bill. So light bill actually, this online means the same time, the processing time. Okay, just keep it in brackets. To process the data in the branch. So the home, the electricity consumptions, when the people come, the person who is coming to check the electricity bill, then that person is count everything and finally that they keep the process. So actually it is offline. So we can't directly say the online. Okay, one is come to process data in a batch. So we collect the data until it process. Okay, so after processing, we will get the batch, that means final billing payroll system. Also, we can consider like that. Then second one is real-time data processing. Real-time processing, input processing and output well as a storing occurs simultaneously. Input, output, process, everything done in simultaneously. Okay, that means storing occur simultaneously. Any type of monitoring system, type of booking system, pair of computer control systems such as automatic productions, aircraft, autopilots, controlling nuclear power station, another thing, a traffic control system, that also real time. Why? If it is batch processing, at the end of the month or at the end of the day, if they are going to update it, then obviously it will complicate. Okay, so I have seen the traffic control system also there. I like that one. So real-time process, the real-time input, process, output, everything's are happening. You better copy this one. When we consider about the batch processing, gather the information batch by batch. For example, when we consider about there are some people working in the company number, according to the number of hours, if we are paying, so particular day, calculate the number of hours, working hours. And according to the number of hours, at the end of the day, we pay. Okay, so likewise, daily payment also can be there. In foreign countries, they will do the weekly payments. Okay, so week by week, calculate the number of hours work. Then at the end of the week, do the payment. So batch process means batch by batch, part by part, gather the information, and at the after certain period of time, do the processing part. It will take some time period to complete. So data input processing occurs as a batch, input and processing occur as a batch in batch processing, and it is easy to handle huge amount of data as batch. So data stored until the system comes to process the data in a batch, in one batch. Batch process done in the system. So actually gather the data within a certain period of time. Gather data, information, or data, or that means the records, gather the information in a certain period of time. As batches and process after a certain period of time. After 1 month, after 1 week. Okay, that example we can take as example we can take monthly payments, okay, or weekly payment. We can consider it. Okay, we'll start writing. Example, daily payment or daily bills, and monthly payments, weekly payments, monthly payments. Okay, now you can copy it. Any issues now? So certain period of time, there's a time duration for the process, not the same time, okay? But real time, input, process, and output, everything happening simultaneously while inputting data, processing also going on, and sending the output at same time. And I said the example we can take real-time traffic control system. Okay, that's all. Okay, copy down this one.